Okay, in 2-2, the topic is determining truth values. All right, so we start with some vocabulary words. The first one being conjunction. A conjunction is two statements joined by and. And then there is the logic symbol for and. It looks like an upside down V. Disjunction is two statements joined by or, and the symbol for or looks like a V. Now, the way to remember that is you look at the top. If they come together, that's and. If they're pushed apart, then you have a choice, or. Okay, so together, and means bring them together, or means you have a choice. So look at the top, and then that will help you to keep the symbol straight. Okay, another word, negation. That's formed by inserting not into a statement. Okay, and so this is the symbol for the negation, and so it would be just putting not into a statement. So in other words, if the statement is the light is on, the negation of that would be the light is not on. If not is already in the statement, then it's like negative and negative make a positive. So if the original statement is the light is not on, and then the negation of that would be the light is not on, and so that means that the light is on. So really it's just the opposite would be used to form the negation. Now, I've given you a chart here that is going to help you to work all of the problems from this particular section. All right, so and these two charts are to show you how to determine whether a conjunction is true or false and whether a disjunction is true or false, right? And so, for example, if you have an and statement, conjunction, and both parts are true, then the entire thing is true. The whole statement is true. All right? Okay? So if each part of it, this part and that part is true, the whole thing is true. Okay? So if the first statement is true, but the second statement is false, then the whole conjunction is false, because and means they both have to be true. If any part of it is false, then the whole thing is false. So if the first part is false, the second part is true, the whole thing is false, and then of course if both parts are false, then the whole thing is false. So the only way that a conjunction can be true is if both parts are true, and means that both parts have to be true for the whole compound statement to be true. All right? Disjunction, same chart. Okay? So if you have an or statement, if both parts are true, then the whole thing is true. If the first statement is true, the second statement is false, then the entire statement is true, because once again it's an or statement. So for or, only one part of it has to be true to make the whole disjunction true. If the first part is false, the second part is true, then the statement is true. And the only way that a disjunction, an or statement, can be false is if both parts are false. All right? So now, logically speaking, to kind of give you some examples, we take letters and assign letters to statements. So for the examples we're going to do on the next page, let's say that P stands for this statement, 2 plus 8 equals 10. Let's say Q stands for Seguin school color is green. Let's say that R stands for 3 plus 2 is less than 20, and T stands for vertical angles are supplementary. Now, in order to help us answer the questions correctly in the examples that we're going to do, we need to decide whether each one of these statements is true or false. So we're going to take them one at a time and decide the truth value of them. 2 plus 8 equals 10. That's a true statement. So that statement P is true. All right? Seguin school color is green. That is a false statement. So Q is false. R, 3 plus 2 is less than 20. 3 plus 2 makes 5. 5 is less than 20. That's a true statement. And T, vertical angles are supplementary. All right, so remember, supplementary means add up to 180 degrees. And so do all vertical angles have to be supplementary, or can we find a counterexample? Well, remember, don't forget, vertical angles, okay, they intersect, and they're on opposite sides of intersecting lines. So if you've got perpendicular lines, then yes, the vertical angles are supplementary because 90 plus 90 adds up to 180. But they don't have to be 90. They can be 30 and 30. So remember, vertical angles are congruent. They have to be the same, but they don't have to be 90 plus 90. So that's a false statement, and that one's your counterexample. They can be 30 and 30. Okay, so now that we know the truth value of these statements, then what we can do is we can go through and answer different questions that we have about them. And so, like, for example, our task is to tell if the statement is true or false. So here we've got P and R. P and R. Well, remember, okay, in a conjunction, the only way a conjunction can be true is if both parts are true. All right, so let's take a look at each one of these individually. Statement P was true, because 8 plus 2 equals 10, that's true. Statement R was also true, because 3 plus 2 is less than or equal to 20. And so if both parts are true, then what's the whole conjunction? It must be true. So the answer to this statement is it is a true statement, a true conjunction. All right, so again, the key here is what we want to do is we want to see whether the individual parts are true or false, then take the entire compound statement and decide if it's a conjunction or a disjunction, and then use this chart right here to see if the answer, the full answer, is true or false. All right, so Q or R. So the statement is Seguin's school color is green, which is false, or 3 plus 2 is less than 20, which is true. So I've got one part of the statement which is false and one part of the statement which is true. But remember, since it's an or statement, if you've got false or true, then the entire disjunction has to be true. All right, so the answer to this one is it would be true. So remember, the only way an or statement can be false is if both parts are false, If any part of it is true, the whole thing is true. If any part of it is false, the whole thing is false. So keep that in mind as you're working through these. All right, T, remember T was vertical angles are supplementary, which is a false statement. All right, now be careful with this one. This is not Q. Well, what was Q? Seguin's school color is green is false. So not Q would be Seguin's school color is not green, the opposite of it, okay, which makes it a true statement. So if the statement is false, the negation would automatically have to be true, all right? So the negation would be true. Well, I may not say every time, okay, but in this case, it's going to change to true. The negation will have to be true, all right? Let me see here. What else we got? Next one, not P, right? Not P. And so 2 plus 8 equals 10. And so then the negation of that would be 2 plus 8 does not equal 10, which is false. It does equal 10. Then we have R, which is a true statement. Remember, R was 3 plus 2 less than or equal to 20. All right, so here's what I've got. I've got one false and one true, and it's combined with and. Well, remember, the only way an and statement can be true this is or. That or statement can be true is if any part of it is true. So since one part is true, the entire thing is true. And so we got true. And then to clean up the last one too, you've got false and true. And so that entire thing would be false. So again, just remember, keep in your mind, okay, if any part of the and is false, the whole thing is false. If any part of the or is true, then the whole thing is true. All right, so the next one we have not R, and so not R would be false. And then we have T, which we know is a false statement. Okay? T is vertical angles are supplementary, which is false. So anytime you've got false or false, if they're both false, then the whole thing is false. If they're both true, then the whole thing is true, regardless of which one it is. Okay? Where you have to determine is if you got one true and one false. Like on this next one, not Q. Okay, so if Q is Seguin color is green, not Q is Seguin color is not green. That's a true statement. Then we have not P. Well, remember, P is 8 plus 2 equals 10. Not P would be 8 plus 2 is not equal to 10, which is a false statement. And so now what have we got? We've got true or false, true or false. And so remember, when you have true or false in an or statement, if any part of it is true, that makes the entire thing true. And then so my answer here would be true statement. All right, so remember, keep that chart in front of you while you're working the problems on your quiz. Make sure you use that in order to help you keep it straight, and then it'll help you to get to the right answers. Okay, now we'll see you in class.